Continuing on with flats. Okay, so for the part 2 worksheet, this is the tetrachords and the major scale part 2. Okay, we start again with C major, and I'm going to write out whole half for the first tetrachord, whole half for the second tetrachord, and it's connected by a whole step. Right, and this starts in treble clef because this is a C and it's only a C in treble clef. Okay. For this exercise, instead of using the second tetrachord as the beginning of a new scale, we're going to do something different. We're going to look at the first tetrachord and treat it as the second tetrachord of a new scale. A little bit of a maneuver in thinking about steps, but you can do this. Okay, so I've highlighted the bracket here, the first tetrachord. So this is C, D, E, and F. And that's going to become the second tetrachord of a new scale. So what we're going to do here is just I'm going to repeat these 4 notes over here. Okay, and this is a C. Okay, so the clef change. I'm going to add a new clef here, bass clef. Okay, so I'm going to do C, D, E, and F. And just to remind me, whole, half, whole, half. Okay, so that's the last 4 notes of the new major scale. Now I have to work backwards to figure out what are the notes here of the beginning. Okay, well that's pretty reasonable. We're just doing pretty much the same thing we've done, only going backwards. So let's name the notes first. This is C, D, E, and F. As we've done before, I'm going to go backwards and find the letter names of these notes. So it's going to be B, A, G, and F. I'm also going to just write down the notes themselves. Okay, great. I'm going to remind myself that these 4 notes are already completed, so I'm not going to change them. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to evaluate whether from C to B is a whole step. We need a whole step. And indeed, from C to B, as we've talked about before, is actually a half step. Okay, because they share this line and they're the next adjacent key to each other. Okay, so C to B is not a whole step. In order for this to be a whole step, we'll need to lower the B to B flat. Okay, from C to B flat. Okay, so that will give us a whole step. So that's done. Next, from B flat to A needs to be a half step. So let's take a look. From B flat to A is indeed a half step. So this is done. From A to G needs to be a whole step. Okay, so from A to G, a whole step. Indeed. That's done. And finally, from G to F needs to be a whole step, and from G to F also a whole step. Okay, so that's how you do this with this exercise. Notice that as with the sharp exercise, this first iteration of the scale, we added something. We added a B flat. And as you go along this worksheet and continue on with this pattern of using the first tetrachord, having it become the second tetrachord of a new scale, you'll see that every time you do that, we're adding another flat to the key signature to the scale. Okay, so this is the F major scale, and I would encourage you to find and play the scale on the piano and see how that sounds. Okay, and then when you repeat this with the next iteration, you will find the notes with 2 flats, and that's going to become the B flat major scale. Again, so that's how all of these scales are connected by the tetrachord. Okay, so take a look at both this video and the video before to just help remind you how we completed these 2 worksheets.